How do addictions form? Why do people get stuck in them? And how can you break an addiction to get out on the other side? Here's a really simple model. People in general try to move away from pain and move towards pleasure. So, what would cause someone to develop an addiction? Let's look at the pain side and the pleasure side. Painful side. You might be feeling really uncomfortable emotions. You're under a lot of pressure. You're feeling like you're not capable of performing at the level of expectation that other people have of you. Your identity, who you are, might be being called into question and being judged. Conflict in relationships, financial burdens, all of these things, when life stacks on a whole bunch of stressors and uncomfortable things, it primes you to be in this avoidant state. You're wanting to avoid pain. Okay, so that's the first part. Second part, what's the pleasure side of addiction? Things that people tend to get addicted to are things that have some kind of pleasurable benefit to them at first. It could be a physical release. It could be a numbing of emotions so that you don't feel those uncomfortable feelings. It can feel exciting to explore something novel, new, especially if there's a hint of taboo to it where you're kind of not sure if you're going to get caught, and there's a little bit of heart thumping going on with that. In other words, addictions start out as a way to self-medicate a problem. So what gets people stuck in addiction? Let's look at the pleasure and pain matrix again. Pleasure. You're still getting it sometimes from your addiction. Might not be as strong as it used to, but it's still there. It's still effective in the short term of numbing your feelings. Because initially you chose to avoid pain and move towards an addictive substance, you didn't actually address what was causing the pain in the first place. You've avoided it. And by avoiding it, those pain points will continue to grow. They can grow into an identity of not being good enough. This is called shame. This is when you just feel like you don't measure up, you're morally broken. You want to hide that from other people. You start to believe that if other people knew who you actually were, they would abandon you. They would leave you. They would not love you. And that fear and that shame are preventing you from opening up and reaching out for help. Meanwhile, you're building up a habit of being habitually avoidant towards facing your emotions, your thoughts, the things, circumstances going on in your life. Those problems are not going away. They're not getting solved because you keep turning away from them to go back into addiction. So now you're stuck in addiction. What do? You have to flip the pain pleasure matrix on its head. You have to make using your addictive substance immediately, massively painful. And you need to make moving out of your addiction immediately, massively pleasurable. Let's look at the pain side. How can you increase the pain of using your drug of choice? If you've been in any addiction long enough, odds are high that you have caused problems in your life because of it. Maybe you broke promises or lied to somebody that you care about. Maybe you've broken trust, gotten yourself into financial trouble, destroyed your marriage, or allowed something else important to fall apart because you were in that avoidant state. The first step is to honestly open your eyes and look at the fallout that has happened and project that out. If I continue on this path, what else will fall apart? What else will I lose? If you visualize all that, imagine all that, or remember what has already happened, and you bring that all into the present moment, just sit in that and ask yourself, is this what I want? And I'm sure that you could admit by your own personal experience that using your drug of choice has not been as helpful as it once was. It might bring immediate relief to emotions when you're using, but then an hour later, the next day, how do you feel? Odds are pretty high that you're kicking yourself and telling yourself that you're broken, that you're weak, that you couldn't resist the temptation, that you're just not good enough. You're kicking yourself over and over and over again because you were using your drug of choice. Do you want that to continue to be a part of your life? That's all the pain side. Let's look at the pleasure side. What would life look like if you were entirely at peace with yourself? If people trusted you and you trusted yourself? If you didn't have a reason to constantly beat yourself up inside? If you loved yourself? If you felt closeness in your relationship with your wife without having anything in the background saying, yeah, but if she really knew X, Y, and Z. Imagine if all of that was gone and you just felt connection because you were actually connected. What if instead of reinforcing a pattern of avoidance, You start training yourself in a pattern of approaching problems, facing the challenges, learning, growing, developing, overcoming them. Imagine yourself going through that process and becoming more capable, stronger, more confident in yourself. The process of getting to that point, though, can't even start until you acknowledge that there is a problem. Trying to change because your wife says that there's a problem isn't going to cut it. Trying to change because your employer says that there's a problem isn't going to cut it. You have to admit that there is a problem. And then you have to get comfortable with the fact that the road is going to feel uncomfortable, but that in the end, it will bring you to a better place. If you're at that point and you're ready to take the next step forward with a plan and a guide to support you, sign up for a free discovery call to work with me one-on-one. Let's restore peace again in your life.